Today on Takeaway Weekly, I talk about the most important part of your computer. This episode of TQA Weekly is brought to you by ProXPN. ProXPN is a virtual private network that allows you to use the internet the way it should be, anonymously and without oversight. For 20% off your new account, go to proxpn.com/podcast and use the coupon code TQAWEE. My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly. If ever you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or PC horror stories, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my website, tqaweekly.com, and either use the contact form or get your own account and leave the comments on that specific episode. And of course, if you want to, because everything else does not fancy you, you can always leave the comments down below. So today's topic is all about the most important part of your computer. Is it the processor, the RAM, the graphics card, the sound card, even your hard drives? No. For your computer, the most important part of your computer is the power supply. Today you'll learn how the power supply works, basically how it allows the computer to function, how to buy an efficient power supply, and how to determine how many watts to get for that specific one, and what happens if you buy a power supply that's way too small for your computer. So first things first. Power on my wall outlet is 120 volts, 15 amperes, and alternating current, none of which is useful to my computer. The power supply takes that, converts it from AC to DC, and creates a 3.3, 5 and 12 volt lines of DC power. The 3.3 and 5 volts are for your standard electronic components, whereas the 12 volt lines allow fans, hard drives, optical drives, anything that spins or requires more power to actually work. Your power supply, being as smart as it is and also connected to the motherboard, allows the motherboard to communicate with it and deliver just enough wattage for everything in your computer to work. Your graphics card, your sound cards, hard drives, optical drives, processors, fans, USB devices, everything. A properly built computer can deliver everything that the user requires because the power supply itself is probably well chosen and allows the computer to work flawlessly. One of the problems though is when you get an amateur building a computer who doesn't understand anything about power supplies, they end up doing some of the craziest things we've ever seen. So for those who are overly cheap with their pieces, they will buy inferior power supplies, underperforming power supplies, or even power supplies that don't have enough wattage to perform. Because fact of the matter is, if you're doing something intensive with your computer will need more power to run. So if you're just using the computer to check your email, you're not using the power supply as much. But if you decided you're going to play Crysis 3 on a computer designed to check email and the power supply does not have the power to follow, a few things can happen to your computer. One, the computer can just restart, become unstable. The fans can start failing to move. Other devices in your computer can actually not function correctly. And in some cases, especially with devices such as graphics cards that are power hungry, when they request too much power out of the power supply can short. It can also take out every single piece of electronic inside your computer. So if you didn't need a reason to listen to what I'm going to tell you, that is one heck of a reason to listen to what I'm about to tell you next. How do you pick a power supply? Well, read the manual of the motherboard, or a mainboard if you prefer that word. Most mainboard manufacturers will actually tell you which power supply you should be getting. We should also assume that they're not telling you to get the cheapest of the cheap. But if you want to go cheap or don't have the money to go better, I would suggest 80 plus bronze, not $25 power supply over the counter, doesn't even have a box. This reason that I'm going to tell you is very simple. Those that are 80 plus are normally tested for quality. So that So much so that they will even be able to tell you what their power efficiency ratio is. In fact, many of these no-name power supplies that are cheap cannot go anywhere near the amount of wattage that they actually say they're rated for. So a 500 watt power supply that can't pass 83% doesn't help you if you need a computer with a 500 watt power supply and you don't even have 400 coming out of it. Whereas an 80 plus power supply will tell you on the box just how power efficient it is and just how close to its actual rating it is capable of getting. So in this case, if you are reading the manual and it asks for a 650 watt power supply, chances are if your computer is typical and not these higher end over the top computer rigs, that is what you're going to need. So that's what you should get. Now, if you're getting a really cool graphics card that requires more power, you don't necessarily have to add them both together. If the manual is assuming that it's a 200 watt power graphics card and you have a 350 watt graphics card, well, just add 150 watts and that's the corrected amount. If you're a gamer or you do some intensive work, add another 20% just in case, and that will prevent your computer from suffering many of these undercurrent issues from having a lack of sufficient wattage out of your computer. Having enough wattage will help you keep your computer stable, cool, and functioning correctly. Now, for those that are wondering, is it worth the trouble of buying a supermassive, large, extremely high wattage power supply? Not necessarily. If you're going for props, going for, name on the street, go ahead. But if you are trying to save yourself money and buy efficiently, do the calculation and adjust for what you think you may need in the future. Do not buy something that will just dissipate more heat into your computer box and require you to buy more fans, because that extra money that you have lying around can allow you to buy a better graphics card, better processor, even more RAM. So that is today's episode. Like if you liked it, disliked it if you disliked it. Send me your questions, comments, suggestions, and or PC horror stories to ask at tqaweekly.com. Go to my website, tqaweekly.com. As I said before, either use the contact form or comment on the episode or comment down below. Now, a word from my sponsors, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Now more than ever, your online freedom and privacy are under threat. Governments and ISPs want to control what you can or cannot see while keeping a detailed record of everything you do. Plus, that free Wi-Fi at the coffee house or airport terminal is putting you at risk because your passwords and sensitive data can be intercepted more easily than you might think. ProXPN is a global VPN that works with almost any internet connection. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel to which all of your online data passes back and forth. Any online application can work with ProXPN, including your web browser, file sharing, email, instant messaging programs. ProXPN keeps everything you do online hidden from prying eyes, disguising your physical location, and giving you unfettered access to any website or online service, no matter where you live or travel to. Complete online privacy with 2048-bit encryption, 512-bit encryption key, works with OpenVPN or PPTP, helps protect you against the ISP's 6 strikes rule in the United States, bypasses internet filtering, blocked websites, geographical restrictions for internet content, and online video worldwide with servers in the US, UK, Asia, and more, and are more always coming. ProXPN software works with Windows and Macs, offering advanced controls allowing you to select the programs and ports you want to anonymously route through ProXPN servers, and he also worked with iOS and Android devices, allowing you to use your data plan or public corporate Wi-Fi with complete and total privacy on the go. No app required, even though Apple and Android now have apps for them, and 24/7 customer support. All you need to do to support the show is to go to proxpn.com/podcast for more information to sign up. Yes, they have a free version, but if you want to do all the really cool stuff like downloading torrents, TQA Weekly watchers and listeners also get a free 30-day risk-free trial. Remember to visit proxpn.com and sign up with the coupon code TQAWEE. What does that do? Well, ProXPN premium accounts are normally $9.95 a month if you paid per month, or $74.95 for the entire year. We have a special offer for you. you receive 20% off for using the coupon code TQAWEE. That comes down to about, almost $5 or $6 a month instead, and you get unlimited stuff like getting your torrents from the correct places. Have